the map again, and from the top corner we're now come down the west coast. Now you may think Wingara is big, but here we are next to a Cape Cod 56, which makes us look a little bit like a dinghy. Thanks to Ian and the crew of Carpe Diem for some entertaining times. So having been at Strahan for nearly a week, it was time to make the run south to Port Davey, back through Hell's Gates on a very calm day. Beautiful sailing conditions. We're going to do an overnighter down to Port Davey, arriving at dawn. Could this be another Tassie extreme sport? This is for land, challenging the sea. We experienced a magnificent sunset, and then we're on our way overnight for an easy run down to Port Davey. Well, after an easy overnight passage, we entered into Port Davey and proceeded to go down the South Passage inside Breaksea Island to enter the Bathurst Channel. This land down here is almost indescribable. It's very different from the east coast. Huge mountains, magnificent water, all tannin coloured. Just an exceptional place that you've got to see to believe. Probably the best description is that this place is dramatic. The contrast in the rocks, the scenery, the vegetation, it is pure west coast, and there's not much that grows down here because of the severe weather conditions. Beautiful mountain ranges, and we were very lucky to catch this on a relatively clear morning. Mount Misery and Mount Berry. The blowhole, one of the many in Tasmania. So believe it or not, this is the same day that we entered Port Davey. Later in the day, after we'd gone out to see if we could catch a fish, this amazing storm very quickly developed, and soon it was blowing 30-35 knots, and coming in the North Passage, it was quite rough. But what were we doing? More of the same, drinking wine. This is one of the many benefits of having a pilot house yacht. When the weather gets bad, you turn the engine on, shut the door, and stay inside. What a way to go. This is Frog Hollow, and we anchored, but we ended up a little close to the rocks with 0.4 of a metre under the keel. So this is Casilda Cove, an amazing place where you actually anchor and then run a rope back to some eyes in the rocks. And you can fit 4 or 5 boats in here, as you'll see. And it's an amazing place because it's so protected from just about any weather. But you've got this amazing view down an enormous inlet. Well, we took a little stroll up Balmoral Hill and then looked back at the boats, which were safely tucked away. Amazing anchorage. Tying the stern to a rock, and then after putting the anchor out, tightening up. And then you would think that there wouldn't be this, but there's seaweed, even though it's fairly brackish water. Very few trees on the hills. So the water in Port Davey is strange because you've got fresh water on the top and salt water underneath. And because the water is tannin coloured and so dark, there are creatures that live in Port Davey and Bathurst Harbour that don't live anywhere else except in the deepest, darkest parts of the ocean. So it's an amazing place to visit, just for the landscape, but also for what's underneath. No fishing at all, completely a sanctuary. Well, that's it for this episode of Going Coastal VDLC 2019. Back with more very soon.